Welcome to Montana's Peer Network's How-To series. I'm Katie, Peer Services Coordinator for MPN. Montana's Peer Network is a statewide peer-run recovery organization and a leader in recovery-oriented behavioral health services in Montana. Welcome to Clinical Supervision for Behavioral Health Peer Support Specialists. My name is Katie Sorensen. I am the Peer Services Coordinator for Montana's Peer Network, and I will be walking you through this brief overview of clinical supervision for BHPSS. This video was created for clinical supervisors and behavioral health peer support specialists alike, because it is really the responsibility of both to be proactive about clinical supervision and the wellness of the behavioral health peer support specialist. Essentially, we have 4 learning goals. We're going to learn what clinical supervision is, how we define it, and what it entails. We're going to learn about the state requirements for certified behavioral health peer support specialists. We're going to talk about the value of clinical supervision, both for the agency and for the behavioral health peer support specialist. And we're going to talk about the ingredients for good clinical supervision. What traits and skills make a clinical supervisor good? This is the brass tacks definition of clinical supervision as it is written on their PowerPoint presentation for peer supervision. Brass tacks stands for Bringing Recovery Supports to Scale, Technical Assistance Strategy. This is SAMHSA's technical assistance effort initiated in 2011. According to brass tacks, clinical supervision is a professional and collaborative activity between a supervisor and a worker, in which the supervisor provides guidance and support to the worker to promote competent and ethical delivery of services and supports through the continuing development of the worker's application of accepted professional peer work knowledge, skills, and values. To get more information on brass tacks and the topics they cover, visit the SAMHSA website. I will also list a link to the MPN website to get the peer supervision information packet and their PowerPoint presentation. The Board of Behavioral Health certification requirements for behavioral health peer support specialists are as follows. For initial certification, the BHPSS is required to submit a written clinical supervision agreement. To maintain certification once it is received, the behavioral health peer support specialist must participate in 1 hour of supervision for every 20 hours of work. The rule specifically states work, not contact hours or FaceTime. The BHPSS must keep documentation of all supervision hours. The BHPSS is responsible for this, not the agency. And finally, the BHPSS must maintain a clinical supervision record for a minimum of 7 years. At any time, the BHPSS can be audited, and it is their responsibility to provide proof of their supervision hours. When it's done well, clinical supervision can absolutely bolster a peer support program. Contrarily, clinical supervision done poorly, without training or skill, can hold a peer support program back, make it mediocre, or diminish the spirit of peer support entirely. Clinical supervision is beneficial for behavioral health peer support specialists because it delivers better outcomes through learning that comes from exploring and discussing work issues. It provides opportunities to reflect on peer support practice. It helps to enhance problem-solving skills. It improves clarity and objectivity in decision-making. And finally, supervision empowers, motivates, and increases worker satisfaction. Clinical supervision is also beneficial for the agency. Clinical supervisors are uniquely positioned to help the behavioral health peer support specialist stay within the mission of the agency by acting as a teacher and a coach to the peer supporter. Essentially, supervision is an investment. For the agency, clinical supervision is a tool that can be used to achieve the agency's mission and objectives. It improves performance and helps to manage resources. It provides a mediator or liaison between the agency and the worker. and it increases morale and improves retention. Clinical supervision is a separate profession from counseling with separate skills, theories, and models of practice. It is important to be credentialed in both counseling and clinical supervision. You should know what masterful clinical supervision looks like. Be proactive and intentional about clinical supervision. Supervision is comprised of three basic functions: administrative, educational, and supportive. In the administrative function, the clinical supervisor works with the BHPSS on concerns regarding the structure of the organization. Examples of this include protocol, policies, procedures, and any issue where an ethical breach is a possibility. In this category, the clinical supervisor has a unique opportunity to ensure the goals of the agency are met. The educational function of clinical supervision involves transmitting knowledge and skills. While serving the supportive function, the clinical supervisor is concerned with the emotional reactions of the supervisee. The purpose of clinical supervision is comprised of all three of these functions, and all roles that a clinical supervisor plays will fall within one of these categories or any combination thereof. Many behavioral health peer support specialists come into the field with little training in ethics. So there needs to be an emphasis on ethical considerations during clinical supervision. Clinical supervisors take on a variety of roles. They act as a guide, mentor, and a role model. A clinical supervisor is a learner as well as a teacher. Clinical supervision is most effective when both parties understand that there is value in the diverse expertise that is shared between them. A clinical supervisor is a problem solver, an advisor, and a consultant as well. They are also a coach, building on strengths, keeping morale up, and using skills to prevent burnout. In these roles, the clinical supervisor maintains balance and employs a unique set of skills to enhance work performance of the peer supporter and support them on their journey of self-discovery. A good clinical supervisor must find the balance between business and compassion. The supervisor can easily overemphasize the supportive supervisory relationship at the cost of failing to adequately monitor and evaluate the work performed. This can make the relationship friendly and comfortable, but it does little to challenge and educate. Clinical supervision must uphold a standard while building trust. Effective clinical supervision has a strong foundation in the relationship, just like peer support. The BHPSS needs to trust that they are safe to share struggles and successes. Clinical supervision should include things like defining a personal mission for the BHPSS. Skill building is a priority. Therefore, it is super important to create an environment where the BHPSS is free to talk about their lack of skills and places where they need to grow. These skills are the goal for the clinical supervision sessions. So, what's in a clinical supervisor's toolbox? A good clinical supervisor gives constructive feedback from a strengths-based model. They support a reflective process. Clinical supervisors should know how to roll with resistance and expect it. It's a part of the process. Clinical supervisors provide ideas and options, and they offer strategies to work through problems. A clinical supervisor has excellent relationship skills, and they know how to create safety to tell struggles and successes. Clinical supervisors must understand peer support in order to provide supervision for peer supporters. Clinical supervisors should be treating BHPSS with the same respect and professionalism as other behavioral health professionals. BHPSS need to be held to the same standard as any other employee. This is especially true in the event of a relapse. They should also be equally valued on a treatment team. Although it is necessary for clinical supervisors to treat peer supporters the same as they would treat any other person they are supervising, especially in the event of a relapse, it is still important for the clinical supervisor to know who they are supervising, be knowledgeable about what group you are supporting, and the differences in the work behavioral health peer support specialists do. The clinical supervisor needs to understand the recovery model versus the medical or maintenance model. Furthermore, the clinical supervisor must understand peer support. In order to properly supervise a behavioral health peer support specialist, the clinical supervisor must be educated in peer support. When supervising behavioral health peer support specialists, remember that BHPSS are in recovery. Understand the demands and challenges specific to peer support, such as secondary trauma and compassion fatigue. And also employ some method of ethical decision making and teach it to your behavioral health peer support specialist. Traits to look for in a clinical supervisor: empathy, respect, genuineness, concreteness, self-disclosure, supportiveness, authenticity, open-mindedness, honesty. They're not critical. They show their humanness. They have the ability to spot dishonesty and is intentional about peer support. Good clinical supervision requires education. You are responsible for going out of your way to seek the knowledge you need to improve your situation in clinical supervision. As a supervisor, you are in a position as a mentor and role model to seek the knowledge to improve your performance as a supervisor. However, if you are the BHPSS and you are not getting what you need in your supervision relationship, it is up to you to seek it out and use interpersonal effectiveness to get your needs met. For the brass tacks presentation and information packet on peer supervision, visit our website under the Clinical Supervision link in the drop-down menu from what we offer under trainings. This presentation is comprehensive and it's made to show your agencies or refer your clinical supervisor to. Please take the time to look into it. The video you're watching right now is not a comprehensive clinical supervision training. This is a summary and meant to direct toward more training. Clinical supervision is designed to help people fly, behavioral health peer support specialists, and the peers we serve alike. Without good clinical supervision, it's hard for peer supporters to get their wings off the ground. This is brought to you by Montana's Peer Network. We are a 501c3 nonprofit statewide organization, and we have been leading the recovery movement since 2011. We care deeply about the success of peer-run recovery programs in Montana. That is why we are providing this brief informational video. We believe quality supervision is key in the success of behavioral health peer support specialists. Also, please take some time to read our white paper on clinical supervision, which will be linked below. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you'd like more information about our services, please visit our website at mtpeernetwork.org. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel.